So a special shout out Critical Failure Z. He suggested that I do a video about Griffith, and here we are. It's gonna be about Griffith, so buckle up. It's gonna be hell of a ride. Before we talk about the Eclipse, and trust me, we are going there, let's just rewind the early days, the early glorious days, back when Griffith was just some dirty poor kid with a big dreams, a shinier sword, and absolute zero awareness of international laws. That's a quick refresh in case you're new to Berserk. And to Guts. Berserk is about Guts, a mercenaries stomping around in medieval hellscape. Griffith leads the Band of the Hawk, a mercenary troop that goes from who to please run our entire armies. And then just on some sheer raw talent, charisma, and the willingness to do the things that most people will absolutely consider will not do it. His goal is to get his own kingdom. Sounds adorable, almost admirable, but here's where the legal Brits start piling up. Crime number 1, operating an unlicensed mercenary force. Let's get nerdy for a second. According to real world stuff like Geneva Convention protocols, Article 47, and the International Convention Against the Recruitment of Mercenaries, you cannot just start your own private army and sell it to the highest bidder. That's not a business plan. That's an international incident. There is a lot of paperwork. There are entire offices full of lawyers making sure that nobody out there running their own medieval Blackwaters. Griffith, he didn't bother. His business pitch is like basically, we kill people for cash. Just point us at your problem. That's 30 to 40 years in prison before even he does everything evil, actually. The running total, 30 to 40 years. Griffith, yeah, he's pretty much smiling at the judge right now. Round 2, child sword recruitment. Let's just talk about Guts. First chapter, Griffith spotted a traumatized teenager swinging around a sword, the smile, the size of a small car. What? Guts is like, what, 15? He also built like he was built like a line breaker, and he has been alone since he was a kid, which is a whole nother spiral of drama we are not touching on right now. Still, the law is pretty clear. Can't recruit kids for the war. The United Nations Convention on the Right of a Child, the Rome Statute, all that stuff agrees that you don't handle a child a broadsword and point him at your enemy. In Griffith's argument, he's gonna be like, but he's special. Yeah, he's special when he's 15. That's the end of the discussion. He's only 15. That's another 25 years. The ICC is already on the case, but somehow Guts is still out there somewhere, probably wrecking someone's body. The running total from 55 to 65 years, and Griffith now is pretty much on the international watch list. Crime number 3, assassination of Julius. Here's where things get personal. There is this nobleman, Julius, who's bad for Griffith's political ambitions. Too much influence, too much connection, and the biggest crime of them all, he's still breathing, he's still alive. So Griffith breaks into his house at night and kills him. Quiet, professional, like he's done it 100 times by this time. And he goes to bed, just fine. And that's a first-degree murder of government official. As we know it, it's a political assassination. Congratulations, Griffith. This is your first death penalty. The wildest thing is, Griffith does this all by himself. No secret assassins, no flunkies into the shadows. The guy who's supposed to command armies and rule nations personally handle the dirty work like a murderer. It's just another item on his daily checklist, right between attend the royal banquet and look amazing while doing it. So, death penalty number 1 for Griffith, plus 55 to 65 years. And the ICC is basically nervous right now, looking at Griffith's files. Crime number 4, the kid. Remember Julius? Yes, he had a son, the little Adonis. Holmes, he was home at that night and he saw everything that went down. Griffith, yeah, he killed him too, murdering a minor and also silencing a witness. Obstruction of justice with more than murder, with the child homicide. That's congratulations, Griffith. This is your second death penalty. And look, Griffith does feel something about killing Adonis. Not that much, just a little tiny bit of guilt. Then he tucks it away somehow behind the perfect cheekbones and keeps moving like it's nothing. The running total, 2 death penalties, 65 to 80 years, and the ICC just opened a new file for Griffith. The crime number 5, the Queen. Griffith also causes up to the Queen, Princess Charlotte's mother, for a political game, using power and influence to push someone into a relationship for your own career. That's coherence, corruption, and a fraud. That's basically 10 to 15 years for that. At this point, Griffith racked up 2 murders, recruited a child soldier, ran an illegal army, and slept his way up to the top. And he was just getting started. We haven't even reached the heavy stuff yet. The running total for that, 2 death penalties, 80 to 95 years, and there is more on the way. Don't worry about it. This is where the whole story pivots. Guts has been with the band for years. Griffith, right hand, and the only one Griffith actually treated him like an equal. He decided he'd leave. He wants to chase his own dreams. He told Griffith and he left. And Griffith, who survived an assassination, wars, years of grinding, just completely unraveled because one person walked away. You wouldn't see it on the surface. Griffith still looked flawless. He always does. Honestly, it's infuriating, but inside something just snapped. He makes the most reckless, disastrous move in his entire story. He goes to Prince Charlotte's bedroom. Grab number 6, sexual assault. No way to sugarcoat it. What Griffith does with Charlotte, it's a sexual assault. No ambiguity here. She's a princess, a protected person. She trusted him. She actually consent because of the massive power gap, and she is emotionally vulnerable. This is as serious as it gets. Assault of a protected person, abuse of power, coerce, exploitation of authority. That's 20 to 40 years. In some places, it's a death penalty for assaulting a royalty. Even possible sentence enhancement gets slapped on it. No jokes here, folks. This is a moment Griffith's story as a human ends, and something else begins legally. This is a butterfly effect. Everything that happened after that traces back to this room. He gets arrested. The band is now our outlaws. People die trying to save him. He's rescued, but the eclipse just happened. Legally, causation theory means every death after this is on Griffith's behalf. He's paying for it all. Don't worry about it. The running total is 3 death penalties, 120 to 135 years. That will lead to diplomatic meltdowns, international arrest warrant, and the ICC files now has a whole second tab just for this. I threw Griffith into the Tower of Rebirth. The king, not a good guy by the way, for the record. He tortured him for a year, tongue cut out, tendons slashed. When Guts and Casca and the scraps of the band of a hawk finally found him, he's barely recognizable. The torture that's on the king, not Griffith. But here's the legal twist that no one talks about it. Crime number 7, the indirect death during imprisonment. While Griffith rotting in that cell, the band is out there, living as an outlaws. People died along the way. People died fighting to get him back. Every single one of those deaths, felony murder charge for Griffith, because they all died as a direct result of what he did to Charlotte. That's the felony murder rule. In plain terms, Griffith picked up an extra life sentence for every person who died trying to save him from the mess he made. The sheer audacity of those consequences, it's unreal. Crime number 8, conspiracy charges for his own rescue. So picture this. Guts, Casca, and the rest of the crew bust Griffith out of the prison. They go full outlaws, breaking into royal territory, taking out guards, committing treason, all of this for him because, they loved him. No hesitation for that. Now, here's the kicker. The conspiracy law says if you get people to break the law for you, you're just guilty as they are. Griffith racks up charges for conspiracy to commit prison break, conspiracy to commit treason, and for basically masterminding the whole thing. That's a 20 years account. The bottom line, the people who loved Griffith enough to risk everything for him just signed themselves into a legal nightmare, and Griffith is about to pay them back for all of this loyalty in the worst way possible. There are in total for that 3 death penalties, somewhere between 160 to 175 years, in multiple life sentences, and the band of the Hawk is dragging their broken ladder through the wilderness of while he stares blankly at the sky. This is the quiet before the real storm. Alright, if you don't know what the Eclipse is, well, brace yourself, gentlemen. Griffith's been holding into this freaky artifact called the Crimson Behelit for years. Looks like an egg. Feels like a curse. When it hit absolute rock bottom, the Behelit activates, summons a group of demon gods called the God Hand. They offer you a deal. It's so simple. You get ascend and become one of them, have your dream, your kingdom, your destiny. But the price, you have to sacrifice the people you care about the most. Every last one of them. So there is Griffith, broken in every way, barely able to speak, just rescued by the people who truly love him and say yes. And he simply said yes. And the eclipse just began. Crime number 9, 500 counts and the first degree of premeditated murder. Let's not exaggerate. Let's just say 500 members of the Band of a Hawk are present at the Eclipse. All of them sacrificed. The real number probably even higher, but 500 is almost the stomach turning. That's 500 counts of first-degree premeditated murder. A mass murder under 18 U.S. Raw Section 1111 crimes against humanity under international law. Was it premeditated? Absolutely. Griffith knew exactly what the pallet was and what it cost. He chose this. That's the maximum sentence for every single life. That's a 500 death penalties. Let's sit for that for a second. Luffy got a 3,000 years, and this guy got a 500 death penalties. The running total, 503 death penalties, double-digit life sentence, international criminal prosecution is all for drag. People are inventing new legal categories just to keep up with his crimes.